We've got some breaking news in the SEC that affects Georgia. The conference saying today that Georgia's game with Oklahoma will be delayed. So, welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma. Here's what the article says over on Dog Post. I guess I'm going to try to get this up on the screen for y'all. Um, this came out about 2 o'clock today, and this was I mean it's important because once you start changing things like this, a lot of questions get asked. And here we go. It says, in the release, the SEC has directed the Dogs and Vols, Tennessee's involved in this as well, to postpone their scheduled matchups with the Sooners because of the transition of Oklahoma into the league. Won't allow Georgia and Tennessee to successfully complete their home and home obligations called for in the contract because the second non-conference game of each of the Georgia, Oklahoma, and Tennessee, Oklahoma series is scheduled to take place after OU joins the SEC. The conference is directing postponement of the Georgia at Oklahoma game in 2023 and Oklahoma at Tennessee game in 24 until such time that those matchups become part of the conference rotation in games in future years. So, what does this mean? There's a couple of different things actually. Um, and the important part here is folks are going to say, oh, this means that Texas and Oklahoma are going to come into the league immediately. It doesn't feel like that's what's going on yet. If that were the case, for sure, I think that would be announced. Secondly, there's another leading indicator here. Texas and Alabama play a non-conference game next year in Tuscaloosa. So maybe it was just timing on that front. I'm not sure. But now we know that Georgia and Tennessee will have to wait to play Oklahoma until Oklahoma comes into the league. Sounds to me like that means it won't happen in 2023. It could happen in 2024. There's a lot of still rigmarole going on about the television contracts and so forth in the league. Of course, I spent a lot of time dealing with all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is now that Georgia has a 2023 schedule that's not that great. You're replacing Oklahoma, and Georgia has already confirmed this by sending it out with Ball State. So you're going to open the season with Tennessee Martin, then play Ball State, and then play UAB. You'll have a conference game in there, somewhere in between. Obviously, Georgia will close at Georgia Tech. I am skeptical at this stage that Georgia will host Tennessee Martin to begin the season. There's a couple of things to remember here. First of all, uh, Georgia Tech and Louisville will open the season at the Dome um, on the first full Saturday of the year. That is what's been announced by the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. I wonder out loud if Georgia will try to get Georgia, Gary Stokan and company will try to get another team in the mix. And I've got a few quite interesting teams. A couple of these would work. A lot of them would not for different reasons. First of all, I'll start with the least interesting ones. I'll kind of skip around a little bit. Wake Forest hosts Elon the first week of the season. Syracuse hosts Colgate. Boston College hosts Northern Illinois. UCLA hosts Coastal, but they play a week later at San Diego State. Even though that's kind of right there, I don't think that's something that would happen. One that's made me pay attention. Michigan hosts East Carolina in week one. Then they play UNLV and then they play Bowling Green. They do not have a Power Five out of conference that I'm aware of. So Michigan is somebody, particularly at the start of the season, that you could maybe say, well, do they want to come down and play ball? There are two others that have games that week that you would be huge games. First of all, or one specifically. I should also add that Oregon State hosts San Jose State. Um, plays at San Jose State. I'm sure they'd love to get out of that, and they host UC Davis. So Oregon State wouldn't be a bad opener for the Dogs. But the one that kind of jumps out to me, USC opens the week before at hosting San Jose State. So San Jose State's kind of involved here. They host USC, and they play at USC, and then they host Oregon State. And then the traditional weekend, USC hosts Nevada. If you could play a neutral site game against USC, either in Atlanta, maybe Dallas, that would be something you'd really pay attention to. These would probably have to be Sunday night or Monday games. I don't think Georgia Tech will change, but we'll see. I don't even know if any of this can happen. Okay, those are not open. So in other words, there's already games scheduled. There are some other games where week one is open, and you're seeing this a lot in the Big Ten, and there's usually a reason why. It's usually because the Big Ten plays a conference game at the beginning of the season. It's not abnormal. Nebraska is open week one, but they play at Colorado week two. That's not going to happen. Indiana is open week one, but they host Indiana State week two, but then they play Louisville in a neutral site game in Indianapolis. Rutgers is open, but they play Temple and then host Virginia Tech. Minnesota is open. They then host Eastern Michigan and then travel to North Carolina. I don't think that's going to happen. And then, kind of the most curious one of all, I'll get to the two ACC ones first. Duke is open, and they have played in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl before. Pitt is open. They have played in Atlanta in the Peach Bowl. I think both of them would be ideal situations because Duke has played in that game before. But the one that catches your eye the most, and I don't think I'm getting something wrong here, Ohio State is open week one. And then they play Youngstown State, and then they play Western Kentucky. They played Notre Dame later in the fall, but I very seriously doubt that Ohio State would travel to Georgia to play that game. Now but they are open as of right now. To me, I think I lay all that out to say I find it hard to believe that, knowing Kirby Smart the way that I do, he's going to be real cool with playing the out of conference that they're playing, because it's not great. Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION. The link is down below. We've got a great look at the 2021 Dogs hardcover, 80 pages. Make sure you're picking this up. We don't want to. Soon I'm going to run out of the copies that I've got. I'll have to reorder them. So get it now. Get it today. The link is down below. It is possible this could just not change. Georgia play Tennessee, Martin, Ball State, and then a conference game, and then UAB. I'm not sure that's really the way Georgia would like to do things. That is not dissimilar to the 18 season, where they played Austin Peay, then South Carolina, then Middle Tennessee State. But then they played Missouri. In 2019, they had 3 gimme games before the Notre Dame game. I said 3 gimme games. One of those was a league game at Vanderbilt. So I think if you're Georgia, everybody's got to remember that soon a lot of this is really going to change, and that opening week is going to be a conference game. Now, not for everybody in the league, but you got to be nuts if you don't think that Disney is going to pretty much mandate that you have at least one good game. That could be Tennessee, Georgia. That could be South Carolina, Georgia. That could be Mississippi State at LSU. But they're going to want to put something on in prime time, and nothing says killing prime time like putting Mississippi State on at 7 o'clock. So they're going to want Alabama. They're going to want Georgia or LSU. They're going to want a power team. And they're going to want that first game to be at least palatable, not the bottom of the league, not Vanderbilt. So it's not gonna be nuts that in week one of these games in the future, that those will be conference games in prime time. That's not out of the question at all. 2023, I mean, Georgia right now has a game scheduled. I just am just skeptical that it will stay that way with who their foe is. Number two, in 2024, Georgia will play, excuse me, don't go anywhere. They're playing Clemson in Atlanta. 2025, that's when the UCLA thing kicks in. They play at UCLA. And obviously in 2026, they're going to play here in Athens. September 4th against Florida State. So Georgia's got a Texas series scheduled. It's just way out in the future. And if you notice, as I've been saying, the Georgia Texas game is at Texas. That's a season opener. So that will be ABC primetime. I can assure you of that in 2028. Georgia Texas. I mean, if Alabama Texas got 10 million with just one of them being good, what's it going to be like when Texas and Georgia are both good and that's the opening game of the season? That is a game that you salivate for. The SEC, did not close out Texas, Georgia. They just got rid of Oklahoma, Georgia, and Tennessee, Georgia, because those games just were not fits. I'll be curious to see if Georgia plays Florida State in 2028. That game's in the middle of this, kind of in the season. I mean, to play out of conference, Texas, Florida State, and Georgia Tech. I mean, that's pretty legitimate scheduling for Kirby and them. But where we're at right now, with the Oklahoma game being moved, if you're Georgia, you cannot fill that with Ball State, and that's it. So that's my speculation. We won't know the SEC schedule until later this fall, but that is a big marquee game that you build towards in the summer that's gone now. And to open with Tennessee Martin, then Ball State. I mean, I just don't think that that's what's going to happen over time. My suspicion is that Georgia will figure out how to play a game that is really kind of noticeable, a big game, something like that, because that's a 1-2. And then they'd have 4 league games at home. 1, 2, 3. No, they're not. So they need a game at home, actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, they don't. They don't have to have one at home, I guess. But that was the one year where I'm skipping one. They would have 7 home games in 23, and that's not been normal for them. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, because they will play a full 4 home games in the league that year, including one of them being Ole Miss. That could start. I mean, I don't think that would happen, but I do not see UT Martin being the game that Georgia opens with. I could be wrong here. I certainly could be wrong, but it could be that they play Ole Miss in week 3. They're gonna have a big game in September, and right now they don't. So we'll just see that Ole Miss game will probably be September 30th, although that could be Auburn. You're probably going to get an Auburn Ole Miss back to back in 2023. That could be challenging, because you're going over Auburn, even though they're going to have a new head coach. It looks like. But I thought that was a curious move by the league to kind of what that means in 2023. I doubt that means they're coming into the league. 2024 and beyond, I don't know. I don't know now.